Guys are so well. Just checking everything is good and we are live. Just checking on my phone too. Um, and waiting just to see if a few people want to jump on live. I know a lot of you are watching on the replay today, so that is amazing. I think all the tech is working. Amazing. Just double checking that we are live. All right, I think we're good. Thank you so much for joining today. If you are watching live or if you're on the replay, if you are here live, then make sure you pop any questions or comments into Facebook, and I can address those as we go. Otherwise, if you are watching on the replay, then feel free just to pop those into the comments as well. As we go, and I can and I can answer those over the coming days. So thank you so much for being here. It is really exciting to share this topic with you because I feel like it's very close to my heart, having gone live pretty much every week for a couple of years now. And so my technique has definitely evolved over time, and I've definitely gotten a lot more comfortable with live video. Now, before I started doing live video, I was very nervous to do it. I was worried that I would lose my train of thought, that I would say the wrong thing, that it was going to be on the internet and everyone would be able to see it forever and it would tarnish my reputation, and all of these kinds of things. And yes, that is true if you are saying something extraordinarily uh, you know, I guess contentious, then that can be true when you do put something up on the internet. But a lot of the stuff that I do, a lot of the stuff that my clients do, it's really all like professional communication, right? So we are supporting our clients to either build businesses or to do something else professionally. And most of my clients are in professional services, whether they're in corporate or they're in business for themselves. And so the content that we're sharing is not going to be like, very contentious. It's not like we're sharing political views or religious standpoints or anything like that. So this is something that we don't need to worry about too much in terms of that reputation. Um, all right, so I'm going to run through today a little bit of how you can start to confidently connect with your audience and engage and communicate on live video. And for those of you joining live, I'm just going to pop a link in the comments now. So this is to my checklist, the live video prep checklist. So make sure that you grab that and download that. If you, yeah, I know a few people are watching on the replay, so that's fine. I'll just leave it there for you to grab as well. And then I can take it down later. But yeah, I definitely want you to be able to follow along and have that live video prep checklist, and you can use that in future as well for any live streaming that you're doing. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but it is absolutely pouring here in Sydney today. Hopefully there's not going to be any floods because it was like torrential just a minute ago. So if you can hear that in the background, hopefully my microphone is doing a good job of, just getting the sound from my voice. But if you can hear the rain, that is what is happening right now. Some very heavy spring rain. Cool. So I just want to preface this by saying that you don't have to do live video as part of the personal brand mix, but it is it's so great at connecting, enabling you to connect with your audience when you're not actually in front of them, speaking with them, connecting with them, right? It's a way to digitally connect with them and to scale those connections. So if you're doing video, you can send that to 1,000 people. Whereas if you're meeting someone in person, unless you're at a networking event or whatever, it's harder to meet 1,000 people at once, or unless you're speaking at the event. But that's like a whole different thing, right? So it enables you to scale and to connect with new audiences and to build that trust, know, and like factor. So that they can know whether or not they resonate with you, know whether or not they want to work with you, and they can learn from you about the services that you provide. They can get value from you, from the content that you're sharing. And yeah, they can just figure out if they resonate or not with you much more easily than just the written word. And as well as I do, that we're all so inundated with content, right? We're so inundated with words, with articles, with everything, that we need to really stand out. And the only way that we can really stand out is by being ourselves and communicating and sharing value in what we know, right? That's how we stand out to others, because no one else has the uniqueness that we do. And so I want you to remember that a lot of this is really just about being yourself. Like, I am honestly just jumping on here most of the time and just chatting with you, right? I'm just being myself. Obviously, I'll put together a bit of a structure as to what I want to say to you, so that I don't just ramble on. But, it is really a matter of just kind of being yourself, right? Okay, so if you've been feeling worried about saying the wrong thing, if you've been feeling like you don't want to be awkward on video, and we all feel like that to start with. If you're feeling like you're concerned that you're going to be judged or disliked, if you don't know what to say, or you don't know what topics to share, if you're like giving every single excuse in the world to avoid live videos, so things like, I don't have the time, no one's gonna watch or listen anyway, I'm gonna have to wait until I get the additional credential before I can share my thoughts on video, or the other degree, or if until I've got more experience, or until I lose the 5 kilos. We come up with so many different reasons to procrastinate on doing the video, which is often the thing that is going to move the needle forward in our careers or our businesses, because it's going to help you to shine. Okay, so I hear all those excuses. I had them for years. So it took me a couple of years before I even kind of started doing that live video. Like, I was doing everything, but I was doing all the blogging, and I was sharing selfies, and I was connecting with people in person, and I was connecting with people one-on-one online. But I was really like, oh, I don't want to do live video. But how I started was I really started to go with what I was, was just out of my comfort zone, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm going to get started just by doing some, not live video, but like pre-recorded video, where I had the titles coming up, so like all the text coming up, so I could actually read that. Excuse me. And then I could I could know that I was on track for what I was saying. And quite frankly, like, when you do read, I can't think of the word right now, but when you do read off like the subtitles, that's what they are, subtitles. When you read those subtitles, it is really, through a teleprompter, that's the word, those are the words I'm thinking of, teleprompter, then it can be a lot more like efficient, and it is good for short videos and things like that. But what I find with live stream, when you're wanting to connect, what you want to just be a lot more natural, right? Like, that I'm just speaking to you right now, I've got a few notes, but you want it to be quite natural. Rather than you kind of just reading off something, which, that's always good, like particularly if it's a really short video. But I think for long form video, it can be a bit boring, right? Because it's like, you can tell sometimes when people are reading something and it's just like a bit more monotonous than if you're watching a live stream where someone is actually just having a conversation and talking with you. And so that's where we sort of want to get to with our audience, so that they can really feel like they're in the room with you, which can be super tricky, particularly when people are watching on the replay. Because when you're live, it is like you're kind of getting that, you can get that like live engagement. So when people are joining you live, they can comment, and you can kind of ask them questions and get them to share things. But when people are watching on the replay, it can be super tricky because you can feel like you are talking to yourself. You can feel like you're talking to yourself, which feels super weird, right? And it can be a little bit harder to get that energy going, to get that momentum to kind of bounce back and forth off other people's energy, because that's not there. So you do need to manage the kind of energy and kind of keep that going when you're doing the live video, particularly if people are watching on the replay and not live. Okay. And a lot of my audience watch on the replay because I do these at 12 o'clock, so a lot of people are at work. But yeah, I find that, yeah, it can be tricky when people are not there, because you can feel like, yeah, okay, do they want me to keep going? It's almost like when you're doing a presentation and you're sort of bouncing off the audience and feeling like, oh, yep, they're onto this. Okay, let's keep going. You've kind of got that back and forth, which you don't tend to have on live video. And it would also be the same if you were doing a live video to quite a lot of people, because it would be hard to keep up with any comments. Okay, so let's dive into some of these tricks. Okay. So, as you know, I have gone live on social media now every week, pretty much for the last 2 years. So that's over 100, perhaps more times that I've gone live on either Instagram or Facebook primarily. And also I've done, plenty of webinars and things like that, and presentations, live presentations, which can be quite similar. In terms of when you are speaking to a camera and you feel like, you can't kind of gauge the energy of the room when you're like you would if you were doing it in person. So I'm sharing, like I said, I'm going to share with you today my tips to help you connect and communicate really well with your audience. So the first tip here is to create a topic outline. So before you go live, what you want to do is have a bit of an outline of your topic, what you're going to share, and the points, the takeaways that your audience is going to have, right? This will help you, to promote it, so you can get people there, you can get people interested, you can get people watching, as well as it will help you to get really clear on what you're going to say and the order you're going to say it, and the outline that you're going to speak to. Now, when you have an outline, this still leaves room for you to speak to stories, for you to share what's on your mind right now, but it does just give you a guideline so that you don't go way off track, and so that you can share something that is quite well thought out, if that makes sense. So what's the topic you're going to share on? And I always like to think about personal branding topics as 50% being yourself, like I was sharing before, 50% being yourself, and then 50% is sharing value, right? So that your audience can understand your expertise in a certain topic, so that your audience can actually take something out of it. Because whenever you're presenting to an audience, it's always about the audience. It's always about what the audience is able to take out of this. It's not about you. You're just the vessel to communicate that, right? And it's the same with any personal brand building activity. It's really all about the audience, providing value, and thinking about what they can get out of it. And if you're coming from that place, if you're coming from that energy, then, I think it's always going to be better received than if people are thinking you're just sharing to, to stand out yourself, or just to, to promote yourself or something like that, because, that just feels icky, right? And even though all personal branding activity is both, like of course we're doing it to stand out for what we do. Of course we are building our personal brands so that we can attract more clients, so we can attract more opportunities. But it's always both. So it's like we're doing it to stand out, yes, but that is more the outcome. And then, we're also doing it to provide so much value for our audience that they will get like incredible points out of it, that they will get incredible tips out of it, regardless of whether they do work with us or not. And this is the beauty of using a personal brand to scale so you can actually help more people, because that is where the reward is in our work, right? Amazing. So when you're thinking about that topic outline, start to think about the story or the experience that you want to share. Think about what you've learned that your audience can take something out of as well. Think about like how you could share a how-to guide like I'm doing here. So like how to confidently connect and communicate on live video. What's something that you know how to do that you could share with your audience that they would get value out of? You could speak to a big trend or a big challenge in your industry and what your audience, your stakeholders, potential clients, whoever they are, what they could do to move through that, and your thoughts on that, and your thoughts on the trend. So like what's happening in your industry right now? What are some of the challenges? What do you think are some of the solutions moving forward? How do you think that the industry should respond to that? And that is how you start to position yourself as a thought leader in your sector, right? You can also share something inspirational. You can share words of encouragement and something just to make people feel good, right? Like that's always really valuable, particularly I find like there's so much that stresses us out in today's world, and a lot of us are doom scrolling, and a lot of us are, you know, inundated with negativity on a day-to-day basis. And so even if you can jump on your live video and share some beautiful positive words, that is always incredibly valuable as well. Something that will just cheer people up and make them feel better in their day, because who doesn't want that? Right, so those are some of the topics that you can share. Just gonna check. Yeah, amazing. I think a couple of people are on live, so if you want to just say hi, then feel free to what's my hair doing? God. Feel free to, just jump on and write in the comments any questions that you've got or any comments that you've got. I'd love to hear from you. But if not, absolutely fine as well. Okay, back to it. So the second point here is to promote it. So to promote your live stream. Now, this sounds easy, but I know, particularly personally, when I started out, I was like, no, I don't want to promote it. I'll just go live and then, you know, no one will come and then that's fine. And that's even better, you know? And so it was like, it was almost like just willing no one to show up, which I think like if that's what you need and if you do want that practice, then that is absolutely beautiful. Like just do it. And then if anyone shows up, great. And sometimes the best way is just to do it, like just to sit there and go, okay, right, in 2 minutes, I'm going to go live and I'm going to talk about this X thing. And then it's done, right? And sometimes that's just the best way to do it. It might be like on Instagram and you just share a topic and you don't even need to save the video. You can just be like, okay, yep, I've done that live, and just, you know, almost like break through that barrier, and then just, then you've done it, and then you can continue on and get better and better and better as you go. So when I say promote your live stream, if you feel comfortable, then definitely start promoting it before you actually go live. So you want to make sure that you share what the topic is, what people are going to get out of it. You want to be making sure that you share the link so that people can join, and what time it is, all of that kind of thing, right? And share it on email, share it on your social media channels, and you might want to reach out one-on-one to some people as well and share it with them, just in case they haven't seen it. Because like I said, we're all absolutely inundated with content on a day-to-day basis, so sometimes that one-on-one outreach is incredible. All right. The third point here is to prepare for your live stream. Now, I don't like to over prepare because, you know, I think that it's so much better when we can speak to our stories and these points that we've created to share with you just off the cuff. But if that makes you feel uncomfortable to start with, then that is totally fine. You can script it out and write out everything that you're going to say, and you can have not just the bullet points, but actually all of the content that you're wanting to share. And then you can, sorry, there's a siren going past. We've got a fire station right up the road. And oh, they've stopped outside my house. No, it's like not my house, but across the road. Anyway, I'm sure it's fine. Hopefully. It did rain pretty heavily earlier, like I was saying. Anyway, I digress. So yes, so you can prepare like yeah, word for word, and then actually kind of read it in your live stream if you want to do that to start with. But like I said, I prefer just to share off the cuff, and it's just so much more. It feels so much more connecting, right? When you're actually having like a conversation, when you're actually just speaking with your audience. So I think that that is super key. But you know, you want to prepare, so you want to know what it is you're talking about. You want to know the various different points so that people can actually get takeaways, so they can quickly get a win and get something out of value out of watching your live stream. Okay, now in terms of preparing, so what I like to do before my live streams is I like to have like a cup of herbal tea or something like that, or a glass of water, and make sure I'm really well hydrated. I'm obsessed with essential oils, so I like to diffuse essential oils. My favorite is peppermint because it just feels so fresh and it just raises the energy, I find. So, yeah, particularly love peppermint and anything citrusy like orange and lemon. Yeah, so for my live streams, I love to have just that beautiful essential oils diffusing. You can have a candle if you like, something like that, but that just gets you in that energy of getting ready to present. I will fix my hair and put on a nice top some of the time. So normally I do a fair bit of work in activewear, mainly because I like going for walks in the middle of the day. So I'll often sit down at my computer and then I'm like, okay, do a few hours work. And then I'm like, okay, off to go out in the sunshine. I love walking to Cremorne Point, which is just near, like down by the water near my house. And yeah, it's just a beautiful thing to do to get out in the middle of the day. And so often I will be in activewear so that I can just go and head out on a walk and take a break at my like any convenient time. And yeah, I love that, like getting out into nature, the fresh air, and that's always when I get my best ideas. So I'm always making notes on my walks and sharing ideas for content with myself. So yeah, when I do a live stream though, I do like to, generally speaking, you know, like do my hair and like put on a top because I know that like I'm gonna put that live stream up and it's gonna be there for a while, and people are gonna keep watching it. So you know, whatever makes you feel comfortable. I know a lot of people also that like, you know, don't bother with any of that. And they're just like, yep, you know, I'm in my activewear and I don't have like no makeup on and whatever. And that's cool too. Like that's perfect. So whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever makes you feel like, you know, your most authentic self and ready for your live streams is great. I will always have my notes on my screen. So I'll have like my you know, I've got two screens, but like generally I'll just keep them on one so that I'm not looking like away from the camera too much. But yes, I'll have like the Facebook up in, you know, one corner of the screen and then also my notes in another corner of the screen so that I can always flick back and forth between them and see any comments that come up. But then I've also got my notes there as well. I'll always check that my audio is working. So I've got a few different gadgets happening. Sometimes I use my headphones, sometimes I'm using microphone. And like, you know, sometimes I just let the sound come out of the computer. So I always want to make sure that it's all set up in the right way so that you can actually hear me before we go live. And I just want to check that like the internet's working and whatever, any other tech issues. And I try and do that, you know, at least like half an hour before, because if you're trying to do that in the last 5 minutes and there's something going wrong, that can be a bit stressful. And I find that like when you go live, if you've shared it, if you've promoted it, if you've told everyone like the time that you're going live, then you want to make sure that you show up at that time, right? So you want to make sure your tech is working. So definitely do it at least half an hour before. And if you've got any issues, then you've got time to either reschedule the live stream and let everyone know, or you can fix it, essentially. Then I just take 3 deep breaths before my live stream, and just allow that kind of grounding energy, my feet on the floor, and just feel really connected and grounded. And then finally, I set an intention for how I want my audience to feel from my live stream. So, is it inspired? Is it confident? Is it ready to take action? Those are pretty much most of the time, those are what I want my audience to feel. So I really want you to feel confident, I want you to feel inspired, and I want you to feel ready to take action after this. So I want to challenge you at the end of this video. I'm going to challenge you to do a live stream and tag me. But yeah, I love doing that because I think that intention is everything, right? How we show up is and how we intend to show up is often how we actually experience things. It's so powerful. And so when we set that intention, often that is the thread that will kind of bring that experience into reality, as opposed to if we just go in and kind of like blindly and just think whatever, if that makes sense. All right. So that is, that was point 3, prepare for your live stream. Now, point 4 is to engage as much as possible with your audience. So with Facebook live streams, you can't actually see who's watching live unless they comment. So it's anonymous, which is great because, like, you know, some people don't necessarily want to show that they're on, or they don't want to engage. They just kind of want to watch in the background, which is totally fine as well. But yeah, so you can't really engage in that way. But if people are watching live, you can always ask them to engage, just like I did at the beginning of this call, but like, yeah, of this video, of this live stream. But yeah, just absolutely make sure that you are engaging if people are there watching live. So yeah, just asking them things like sharing what city you're from, sharing their thoughts on specific things, sharing actions that they're going to take, and really just welcoming if you're watching live or if you're watching on the replay. And so in that vein, I want to actually ask you, if you are watching on the replay, I would love to hear from you what channel you're planning to do your live stream from. And I'd love even for you to share it in the comments there. So you know, so we can all connect with you and join your live stream. So let us know what channel you're going to go live on, when you're going to go live, and the link so that we can connect with you and join your live stream. That would be amazing. Now, when you're doing live streaming, the more engagement you can get, the higher it's obviously going to rank on the platform that you're doing your live stream from. And like similarly, even with webinars, like if you know, that could be considered a live stream. So if you're doing a live webinar, you're still, you know, doing that kind of live presenting, and so that can be considered a live stream, really. But you want to just be engaging as much as possible, asking people to share comments, their thoughts, rather than just being passive, because when we're actively engaged, we're active listeners, it just means that we learn a lot better, we're more likely to take action, and we're more likely to get the results that we desire. Okay. Amazing. All right, so the next point is to be focused and don't try and cover everything. Now, I struggle with this. You can probably tell I love to talk. I do struggle with this because I absolutely love providing value to people, and you know, I am always like, oh, I want to give additional value. Like, what else can I share? What else can I get out of it? But sometimes this can be like a bit of a fire hose and people can get overwhelmed. And so what you want to do is actually scale it back. You can usually provide more value by giving less, if that makes sense. So I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's the same with like when you make courses. People are paying for you to scale back all of the information that's available online and really refine it down to actually what works, so that they don't have to spend thousands of hours or however long your expertise experience stretches on for doing, you know, similar learning to what you've done. They want to get that expertise in an hour. So they want to capture your like thousands and thousands of hours of expertise on a topic in a very short amount of time. And that's why we join anything, right? That's why you're joining this live stream, is because I've spent hundreds of hours doing live video, and you're wanting to do live video. So you want to capture that expertise that I've built over time, over those years, without actually having to spend that amount of time yourself, right? So try and just hone it down to just the one topic, and then just the few points that they can take away. The next point here is to speak with bigger energy than you would in real life. So I'm speaking to you guys today probably over the top in comparison to how I would if we were in person. Like, maybe not actually, because I am quite over the top. But with live video, you just want to have a little bit more energy so that people can pick that up, because through the screen, it kind of does lose a bit of that energy, right? Like, it dulls it down. And I think people are so used to watching screens now that they're just a little bit less engaged than they would be if it was there in person. So you want to be like, a little bit more energetic and a little bit more over the top with your gestures and with your inflections. So when your voice goes up and down, than you would in real life. So video is, just that little bit dulling. So you want to ramp it up. And then the final point here is sharing the replay. So again, this one sounds self-explanatory, but it's something that I know that I resisted for a really long time. When I started doing live video, I was like, nah, not sharing that any further. And it's one of the things that I think that we can get caught up in when we are building our personal brand. We can just be like, oh no, I don't want to share that. Because it is like, it can feel challenging to put ourselves out there, and none of us want to be self-promoting, really. Like, I feel like if you do want to be self-promoting, you kind of are probably one of those celebrity figures or something like that. But when we're doing this for our work, for our profession, for our business, most of the time it's because we love the business that we do. We love doing the work that we do, and having to put ourselves out there and increase our visibility is actually something that is going to help us succeed in business, but it's not necessarily something we really want to do, right? And I completely get that, and I'm the same. So I 100% appreciate that if that's where you're at as well. But when you share the replay, that means that more people can connect with you. That means that your work will go further. That means that people can watch the replay and connect with you again and again, and your work will be scalable. Amazing. So I wanted to share as well. So every week, every Thursday, I go live here in Facebook in the Thought Leadership Club. So I'd love for you to join live or on the replay. And feel free to ask me any questions. So I go live with various different topics about building your personal brand. And in particular, the unique coaching method that I teach, which is confidence, strategy, and action. Because without those three combined, building a personal brand can feel very challenging, and often it gets shoved off the to-do list and we don't even get started or be as consistent as we need to be to actually build our personal brand and to build that trust, because it does require that consistency to stand out in your field, to become the go-to person in your field, and to attract those aligned opportunities and clients. But when you do increase your visibility, when you do increase your connections with your audience, and when you do build those relationships and put yourself out there, that is when amazing things happen. That is when you start to attract opportunities and clients. And that is when your work can become scalable, rather than being the person that sits down, does a really great job, but isn't known for their work. And I did that personally for years, and so I completely get it. But if it is something that you're doing as well, know that putting yourself out there may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but the more practice you get, the better you'll be. And I know that you're going to create some magical live streams, and they're going to be brilliant, and I can't wait to see you go live. So make sure you let me know in the comments where you're going to go live, at what time, what topic you're going to share, and what the link is, so that we can all come and cheer you on. Thank you so much for watching today. It has been such a pleasure to be here with you. And again, apologies for the pouring rain if you could hear that through the microphone, but hopefully the equipment has done a fairly good job at, playing my voice so you can hear me. Yeah. And thank you so much for joining, and I can't wait to see you next Thursday. I'm also going to be doing a webinar very soon, so I'm going to share some more detail about that in the Thought Leadership Club and on my social media channels, so I'd love for you to sign up for that too. And apart from that, have an amazing day. Thank you again for being here, and I hope that this has supported you in some way. See you later.